Game dev is hard. And I don't do well with hard things. Wait, let me say that again. Game dev is hard. And I struggle when it gets hard. No, still sounds wrong. What I'm trying to say is that I hit a speed bump around a month ago with my game. This happened for multiple reasons. Procrastination, personal responsibilities, plans, the fact that summer is back in the UK and it was 31 degrees recently, and I'm living in a building that is designed to stay as warm as possible. Another big reason has been my pursuit of income through the form of sacrificing my time to make numbers in my bank account go up so that I can eat. Or as some people say, a job. My job is getting worse and much more draining to do. Thanks to a new management team, which has caused people to leave, which thus creates more work for me. This then had the negative effect of making me not want to code at all in my free time, which then has the issue of making me feel guilty that I'm not making any progress, which then makes me resent working on my game completely. It's a vicious cycle. In case you're new here, welcome to my Devlog series, where I'm trying to make my first game in Godot about a little slime exploring a dungeon to chase down the adventurers who killed his friends by moving one tile at a time with an OSRS style tick delay for the movement. So, now that I'm done complaining and making excuses for my terribly slow progress, it's time to tell you what I've actually managed to do. Instead of working on my game through code, I found a different solution. I worked on it through art and ideas. I know in my last video, I said I was going to get my wife to create all the art for me. I've sort of fallen in love with doing pixel art myself. Plus, my describing skills are terrible, so she had no idea what I actually wanted in my head. For a while, it was a way to still work on my game, but it was different from coding, so I didn't feel as burnt out. I also spent time coming up with more ideas for my game, such as new traps and possible mechanics. I think the moral of the story here is that you don't have to constantly be coding and figuring out problems to progress in game development. And in fact, I think for me personally, that's how I would burn out quite quickly. Sometimes, it's good to change things up and work on something different. So for the past couple of weeks, I've been making all these new assets for my game in Pascal, which I am learning to love. No A-sprite is a thing, but I'm not spending £20 on it till I have got better at pixel art. So now, without any further ado, my game has gone from looking like this to looking like this. I'm really proud of what I've done here. I know that the slime's pixels are bigger than the rest. I think that's called mixels. But I'm really loving how this is looking. It's getting so much closer to what I had in my head. So just to go over what I've added here, obviously my slime is looking a lot more bouncy and cute in his movements. I'm still thinking of adding a good visual indicator for when he's ready to move again. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. Next, I've added a whole new tile set for the dungeon, with a green slime theme along with some torches. I really like how this came out. The current spike, arrow and flame traps have all been updated. I will say apart from the fire on the flame trap, because however many times I attempted to make that one, it always looked weird. But I will get to it eventually. We also have an old trap with a new paint job. If you remember, it was the spinning axe, but it is now a spinning saw blade. I also rewrote the code to use a tween instead of a path 2D, so the blade moves smoother and stops for a few seconds at each end of the path. And lastly, I updated the winner tile with a gate that opens when the player finishes. I'm really happy with that animation. It also has a little animation on the tile itself that took a while to do, and I was really happy with it, only to discover that of course the slime completely covers it up. At least the gate bit looks good though. Right, now that you've seen all the visual updates, it's time to show you some new mechanical things I've added. I wanted another incentive for the player when it came to traversing the levels, rather than just getting to the end. And maybe to force them to take a harder route. To do this, I added what I'm calling slime cores. These are going to be pickups for the player. There are 3 in each level, and I'm thinking that they could also act as some sort of life system. So when the player is hit by a trap, and they have a slime core, they get knocked back and lose that core instead of dying. To go along with these cores, I added a basic UI with a menu button, level count, and a display for the current amount of slime cores collected. I also added a fun animation for when the player completes a level. It shows them how many cores they've collected. Finally, I've created the start of my level selection screen. I did draw these buttons myself, so it doesn't completely go with the rest of my UI theme, but I'm going to work on changing that. But the buttons do work. I can finally easily traverse between levels for testing. I do currently have little spots for the collected slime cores for each level, but I haven't implemented the logic yet. But they look cool. So, going ahead, the main thing I want to work on is a better way of placing and setting up my traps. Currently, they all have the same timing, and I'd like to change them to make the levels harder and more intricate. I've got a few ideas on how I'm going to do this, but I don't have anything concrete. I'm also going to start looking at a proper save system for the player's score. Again, not sure how to do this just yet, but that's for future me to worry about, and hit a speed bump when I can't do it, and then pivot to doing something else. I generally just wanted to say a massive thank you to you for watching, and for the support you guys have given me. Believe me, it's what helps me to continue to work on this. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to the Godot and Indie Dev subreddits, which have been incredibly helpful and supportive with giving advice and ideas for my pixel art and my mechanics. If you have any ideas, advice or suggestions for my game, please don't hesitate to let me know down in the comments. But that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.